What is the best thing that you can do to start recovering from your divorce? I'm going to talk about that right after this. Hey everyone, I'm Yoel and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So grateful to have you. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about what I feel is the best thing you can do to get yourself on the road to recovery after divorce. This is a topic that is very close to my heart. I am a divorced man myself. It's been about 3.5 years as of the date of recording this video. And I get asked this question a lot by guys who reach out to me. Like, how do I turn things around, Yoel? Like, what did you do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I don't claim to be a guru. I also don't love to talk about divorce too much. I don't feel it's beneficial. It doesn't identify oneself. It's something that happens in life. But because I get asked this question so often and I give the same advice over and over again, I thought that it would be helpful to do a video on this topic. So without further ado, your curiosity may be piqued by now. What I feel the best thing that you can do to help recover from a divorce is to start working out immediately. Now, that may come as a surprise to you. You may have thought I would say, go to therapy, or maybe just, read tons of books or podcasts, date a lot of women. And there are all sorts of different things that you can do to help yourself that what I'm saying now in terms of working out doesn't negate the others. A lot of different things are very important. For example, going to therapy and things of that nature. But what I found to be the most helpful for me and so many other people out there, and I'm speaking in the context of men, I think this would apply equally to women as well. Obviously, I can't speak from the experience of being a woman, but in terms of the men that I've spoken to anyways, who have taken steps to start getting back on the road to recovery after divorce, so to speak, I would say they all agree that getting back into shape has been a godsend for them. Okay. And I think the reason why that is because there's a lot of reasons. Okay. Everybody's divorce, the circumstances are different for everybody, of course. But I think in large part, a lot of guys at the point of divorce feel very rejected or very abandoned. Their self-esteem is not at its highest. They're feeling very insecure. What went wrong? Why aren't they appealing to their mate? Why did their partner stop loving them? Whatever the case may be. And obviously, getting your mental, emotional state in shape is very important, but that's much more of a longer process. Okay. It takes a lot of work to start rewiring your mind, so to speak, to start working on yourself emotionally and how you relate to the world after years of conditioning and experience and what you've, doing everything that you've thought was right till now and realizing there are so many things that you can work on to do better. The emotional process essentially is a lot longer of a process, but the beauty about working out is that it's immediate. Okay. It happens immediately, and the results, the physical results and transformation can be seen immediately. And frankly, when you start seeing a difference in your body, the mind actually tends to follow that as well. And it just escalates the emotional growth that you can have just by working out your body. I know it sounds interesting. You would think, like, who would say that there's a connection necessarily between working out and exercising your mind, but there really is. Okay. Now, I want to share about how I did it, because it's one thing to say to do it, but a lot of you out there watching this may be like, okay, it sounds great, but all I want to do is eat ice cream and eat potato chips, and I'm not interested in getting off my ass. So I would say the first thing is it does take willingness. Okay. You have to have that willingness. If you're at a point where you're watching this video and you've come across it because you do want to make changes in your life, and you do agree with me, or you're at least willing to indulge me in my suggestion that working out is the number one thing you can do, then it does take a willingness to get your ass off that couch and to start doing something about it. Okay. So that's the first step, which is to have that willingness. Once you have that willingness, what did it for me, frankly, was just, and I actually, by the way, I talk about this I actually wrote a book shortly after my divorce. I meant to write some articles, but I ended up writing a book called Recover from Your Divorce in 4 Steps. Now, a lot of what I outlined there does have to be updated, revised based on, things that I've experienced later on in life. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily buying the book, because there are things I would love to change in it. But if you are interested in getting a copy, feel free to reach out via the comments below, and we can talk about that. But with respect to the idea of working out, that I have not changed from my opinion from the time I wrote the book to today, and I don't feel I likely will ever change my opinion on that. It's just so crucial. Okay, but getting back to it, it does take willingness. So what did it for me after I had that willingness? Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, by the way, what brought me to the willingness? Because I was actually very, very much overweight. I talk a lot about this in my book. I wasn't motivated. And actually what did it for me was my then wife saying, making a comment about, how good she looks. And I remember saying back, like, well, yeah, I look pretty damn good also for a 40-year-old. That's how old I was when we were getting divorced. And maybe I was 39 at the time. I don't remember anymore. It's all a haze. But the point is that I started asking myself after I said that, is that true? Like, was I really in good shape? And I realized it wasn't. Okay, I wasn't in the worst shape of any guy out there, but I certainly was not in good shape. My triglycerides were high. I remember I was visiting the doctor. I was getting sick very frequently. And so that spurred me after I said that. And after I realized that, my soon-to-be ex-wife is actually, working out and taking steps to keep herself in shape, I've got to do the same thing. It arose out of essentially competition. So the point I'm making here is that, even if your willingness is coming from a place that isn't necessarily of the purest motivations, that doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to get yourself motivated and get your ass off that couch to start working out, roll with it. Okay. For me, it did not come from the purest of places. Now I can tell you, I do it for myself. I don't do it to compete with anybody. I do it solely for myself and for how I feel. And I actually love going to the gym, but we'll get to that in a moment. But the bottom line is, it starts with a willingness. Don't worry about, what your motivations are for having that willingness, but just try and get to yourself to have a place of willingness. Okay. If nothing more, just being an available bachelor, again, I'm speaking in terms of the male perspective, but equally, all those who are women out there watching this can apply it equally for themselves, regardless of gender orientation or anything like that. And once you have that willingness, what did it for me is I started with a walk around the block. No joke. That's all I was doing. I would take a 5-minute walk around the block. And eventually that led to me starting to jog a little bit. The end of my walk, I would start jogging a little bit. And I remember I could barely jog for 2 minutes. But I slowly but surely started increasing it to a point where at its height, I was actually running, I think it was 10K, probably every day or 6 times a week. It was nuts. I don't recommend that because it's not very easy on the knees, especially as one gets older like I am. But certainly at the time, starting with a walk and escalating it into jogs, eventually doing 10K runs, really was remarkable for getting in shape. You can imagine how much calories you can burn when you're running that much. Okay, but you don't have to go to that extent. You don't have to run marathons. You can just keep it simple, but start with a walk, and slowly you can increase that. Okay, so the key is to take baby steps, so to speak. Literally take steps, and take those baby steps. Don't try and run a marathon in one day. Okay, just get your ass off the couch and start taking walks around the block. Now you'll ask me, well, a lot of being in shape has to do with what you eat, and that's true. But I find, and maybe some of you out there maybe did it in the reverse, where you started eating better and then you started exercising. But I find that once you start exercising and you realize you're putting in that work to get your body into shape, you're naturally going to want to eat better. That's what happened for me. So whereas my diet before consisted of Coca-Cola and potato chips and any sort of junk food I could eat, that slowly but surely changed into various different diet plans. I've gone through different variations. I saw a nutritionist once. Okay, so you'll have to find what works for you. And again, don't overcomplicate it at first. At first, I didn't have any specific nutritional plan. I was kind of just trying to eat better by eliminating the obvious, like eliminating sugary soda and very fatty potato chips. I still will indulge, by the way, from time to time. And I know there's a lot of people out there like Tim Ferriss. They talk about having a cheat day. So it's not like you have to give it up if you're worried about that. But I'm kind of digressing into diet. But the point is that I'm making is that everything begins with small steps, not trying to overdo it, not trying to run a marathon in the first week, not trying to give up all the junk food in one shot. You can take incremental steps. And what happened for me is, alongside doing those runs, I realized that weight training, especially at my age, was super crucial as well. I couldn't just rely on the cardio. And so what I started doing was I started doing workouts from home. This was also at the time of COVID. And I started with, uh, I think it was empty water bottle or full water bottles. That may have been what I was using. Or I don't remember if I started with full water bottles, or if I took a bottle and I filled it up with sand from the beach and I was using that. That may have come a little later. It depends which one weighs more. But I started very simply, not very sophisticated at all. I didn't even have actual weights, again, because it was COVID. There was nothing open. I couldn't buy anything. But I started with that, and I would lift those weights. And then I realized, you know what? Alongside lifting weights, I needed, some guidance. What do I do? Like, I don't want to just do bicep curls all the time. I want to start working out different muscle parts. Okay. And again, all this was a gradual process. So I found an amazing channel on YouTube, which I highly recommend, called Anabolic Aliens. I'm going to link to that in the description below. And they've got all sorts of free 5-minute workouts. And again, the beauty about the 5-minute workouts is that it's not too much. It's manageable. And when I started, I would do a simple 5-minute workout. And then I increased that to doing 2 5-minute workouts, 2 different body parts. And then I started increasing that to doing 2 different body parts, 3 5-minute workouts each. So I was doing about a half hour of weightlifting in addition to doing my sprints, to doing my jogs. Actually, it didn't start with weights initially. I just want to add, initially, I think Anabolic Aliens has non-weight muscle building exercises as well. I guess the type of calisthenics. Okay, but you can see all this was gradual. I don't even remember the full, the full process of what happened, but I do remember it started with a walk, and then I moved on to starting to jog, and then running 10K. At the same time, I started with doing home workouts. I started with water bottles and then sand bottles filled with sand. Then I started buying dumbbells when things started opening up again after COVID, or as COVID was, the stores were starting to open again, and I started buying dumbbells. And at this point today, I'm happy to say that I joined the gym a few months ago, and I have not looked back. I absolutely love it. Okay, the gym, by the way, has a lot of added benefits in addition to just getting into shape. Okay, as a single guy or gal, then you meet people, you expand your social network, like-minded people who are equally there to get in shape. And it's just a wonderful place, not only for working out, but also for socializing. But in terms of the point of this video, with respect to working out, obviously you've got, hopefully your gym has the latest and greatest machines. And what I did was when I started, I got a free 1-hour, tour of all the different machines. And I was, taught how to use machines that would be best for what I was trying to do, which was, and is putting on muscle. Okay. But they can tailor it for whatever your needs are. And I also got a trainer and above and beyond that. I paid for a trainer for a few weeks just to show me, more intensive workouts that I can do with the different machinery that was in the gym. And I'm really grateful that I did that. And now I'm on my own doing the workouts in the gym. Okay. And in addition to that, by the way, I still do the cardio, but now I do it in a more fun way, because a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of guys and say, I can't run, it's boring. And I hear that. I enjoyed it because I would put on a podcast or I would listen to music while I ran. But for those of you who find the idea of jogging deathly boring, or you may find that, maybe your knees hurt and you don't want to put out your knees, then the beauty of a gym is that there's also all sorts of class. Again, the gym that I go to, and I'm sure a lot of the gyms are the same throughout the world, wherever you're watching this from. I go to a spinning class a couple of times a week, or at least once a week. I try and go more than once a week. It's a blast. I have a great time doing it. I get in my cardio. I'm actually not supposed to do too much cardio when you're trying to put on muscle, apparently. That's a whole other side topic. And again, I'm not a guru. I don't claim to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger of workouts. The point is not to tell you that I know it all about working out, although I have been working out now for 3.5 years, probably a little longer. And I have grown more sophisticated in my knowledge of working out and muscle building and bodybuilding and that sort of thing, which again, just happens as a result of being immersed in it. But the point is more, if you're at a point where you're watching this and you've been trying to figure out what is my next step, how do I turn this ship around? Start exercising, okay? With the increase in your, by the way, the health benefits, I talked about this in a previous video. Obviously, the health benefits are wonderful. That goes without saying. but also your self-esteem will start to rise as you see your body transforming literally before your eyes day by day. As you see yourself, looking great, you start to feel great, your self-esteem increases, and it just gets you in the right track. And like I said, combined with having a good therapy program and doing the mental work on yourself, the emotional work to get yourself emotionally sound as well. Alongside with that, the bodybuilding, exercise, fitness routine, which has much quicker results because you're actually, you're doing something physically, and it's it's much more immediate than emotional. I don't know if I want to say it's more immediate. I mean, maybe the emotional work can be immediate depending on how you approach it, but certainly I would say by and large, it's probably for most people, the emotional work is the longer process. Even if you do make great strides every day in your emotional work, it does take a long time before all these things start really sinking in. But with working out, within about, at least for me, within about a month, I had lost a tremendous amount of weight. And everybody's body shape is different. I understand that. Some people may find it more challenging than others. But anybody out there who does undertake to start working out will see results, even if it's not as dramatic for you as it may be for somebody else. You will start to see results if you keep at it, and if as long as you stay consistent and committed to it, you will continue to grow in your fitness routine, and it will affect your entire being, your well-being, your emotional well-being, and you will just be that much more on your road to recovery from divorce. So as always, I welcome your input, your feedback. I'd be curious to know, what you feel was the number one thing that helped you on your road to recovery, what you think about the ideas and suggestions that I've made, and what you think about, my fitness journey. It's in the past, it happened. I'm grateful for it. It may not be the most orthodox way of going about it, although I think a lot of people out there have similar stories in terms of how they got into working out. But I'm curious about what your story is. Share that in the comments. Share this video with anybody out there who you feel can benefit from this. Anybody you know who's gone through a divorce and is looking to get back on track. And as always, I'm grateful for you visiting the channel, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Hey guys, this is your annoying reminder to please hit that subscribe button. You'll be helping me out, and you'll also get notified of the next cool video. And check out the other videos on my channel. There's some great stuff over there, all sorts of topics. Take care.